good evening. Welcome to PM Personality Profile. My guest tonight, he is a development economist with over 20 years experience in providing fiscal, strategic and operational leadership. He is an investment banker and a global business strategist. Dr. Samuel Ankrah, he's CEO of AIG Ghana and Switzerland. My guest tonight. Good to see you. What have you been up to, Doc?
Thanks for having me, Aisha. I've been on the campaign trail, as you were. I've been trekking up and down the country, sending a message of hope to Ghanaians, and advising our brothers and sisters that the status quo is no more an option.
I see this presidential ambition, developing strongly. I mean, where is the motivation coming from?
Well, the passion to make sure things are done correctly. I think I have the know-how, and sitting on the fence and watching one mediocre government after the other, I believe it's about time that people with the skill and the know-how gets involved in governance and help us collectively to rebuild our country. So it's purely based on the passion of making sure the right things are done, and also having the strong desire and the will that have the capability and the capacity to do it.
You are a development economist. You are a lot of things. You're a successful businessman, a global business strategist, a investment banker. Why do you want to leave all of this and go into politics? Again, people describe as dirty.
Well, I'm glad you asked this question. So many people have asked the same questions over and over again. But it gets to a point where it dawns on a generation to live for the other. We can't just keep watching what is going on. Ghanaians are going through some of the harshest economic conditions. I have traveled across the nation. I've met people suffering. People who can't even have a decent meal on the table in a day. These are frightening. And if you feel you can help and you want to sit on the fence because you are comfortable, and I believe that is not the right thing to do. So, like I said earlier, I am motivated by the passion to help people and to make sure the right things are done. Putting myself on the altar of sacrifice, as you rightly said. I'm sacrificing my luxury, my lifestyle, my privacy, everything, just to make sure that I get involved with this to help shape the destiny of this nation.
People say that all politicians are the same. I mean, how different are you? The reason Ghanaians should abandon all other politicians and follow you?
First of all, I'm not a politician. I've never contested any political position in my career. I've taken leadership roles in school, university, in secondary school as a head boy, and also leading corporations. I have never been a politician. So the idea that all politicians are the same to the extent does not apply to me. But then if you look at where I'm coming from, what I have to lay on the table to be able to do what I'm doing, clearly should give people the insight that there's a different kind of politics coming in. Here's a person who is sacrificing a lot to get into the fray to help support the nation building.
One of the biggest challenges we face as a country is problem with our economy. I mean, recently there's been depreciation of the cedi. The cost of production and doing business has forced many businesses to shut down. I mean, as a development economist, what do you think is wrong with us?
First of all, we don't have an economy. Like, if you live in an environment where every external factor is hitting hard on you, then clearly you don't control anything. Yes, I understand it's a global village. Yes, I understand there's a lot of liberation, trade liberations and so forth and so on. However, we need to have a local economy. We live in a country where we're importing toothpicks. We're importing animal intestines. Come on. What economy are we talking about? So any external shock will have effect on us. This country needs to build a local homegrown economy and we need stability. And this is what I'm promising to bring Ghanaians. I can take into detail exactly how I'm going to bring the stability into the markets.
Yeah, what's your plan?
And
share that plan with me, how you intend to revive the economy.
First of all, I mean, as you rightly said, you can't build on an unstable environment. You need to stabilize the economy and give confidence back to the market. The idea that people don't even want to keep cedis and are rushing to buy dollars and keep at the least opportunity tells you how desperate the situation is. How do you resolve that? There are a lot of foreign currency regulations and policies that have been pushed. Has it resolved the problem? No. Mindset is everything. So right before even one Prof. Hanks got involved, has been saying we need to peg our currency for a period, minimum 5 years, where the markets gets understand that from today up to the next 5, 6, 7 years, my 10 cedis is $1. If that hits the psyche of business, automatically you are bringing stability. People will not be moving around trying to buy the dollar to cause this artificial inflation and all currency depreciation that we've been facing. Number two, there has to be homegrown policies, import substitution policies, deliberate ones. I'm not talking about stuff you do and the policies are not well enforced and people can beat the system. You need to create tight ends and put up a deliberate homegrown policies, push made in Ghana agenda, help and understand, use fiscal policies to design programs that would change the consumption and the behavioral pattern of our people. So these are all very important steps that needs to be taken so that we can build a homegrown policy economy and then you have stability. Again, it has to be affordable. Our country now is not affordable. Ghana is a very expensive country to live in. You are here today, the price is 10 cedis. You wake up tomorrow and it's 20 cedis, 30 cedis. Again, how do you solve that problem? What are the key components? If you want to bring affordability to, say, housing, for instance, your iron rods, your cement, all these things need to have a stabilized pricing and also affordable pricing. So I intend to bring some sort of restrictions into it. You produce cement, brilliant. We bring 3, 4 companies together. We'll give you exclusivity. But what we're expecting from you as a country, this is the market size. Between now and to the next 5 years, produce cement at, say, 50 cedis, and we don't expect the price to go over, it has to stay the same. You do these price controls, you realize that, again, you are sending a message across the market. These are the stability methods you build. And once you are able to have that kind of stability, you can bring it back to the liberal system where people dictate and so forth. But the fundamental for us to build any decent economy has to be based on stability, and we don't have it now.
You'll be facing big opponents like Dr. Baumia and former President John Dramani Mahama. You've got what it takes to face these people?
Well, of course. I mean, I have excelled in the private sector to an extent. I come with a lot of experience, which I think both candidates don't have. And we need practical experience at this stage. The economy requires expert and practical hands at the moment, not theoretical or oratory. We need to have tested people who have been in the helms of affairs in typical environments. I'm talking about CEOs that comes and take bankrupt companies and turn them around to multi-billion profit earning companies. This is what Ghana requires. We need to have that kind of seriousness in governance. I have so much respect and admiration for the 2 leaders you've mentioned. But I believe that it's gotten to a time in our history where if we really want to change in our economy and politics to affect the life of our people, then we need to start looking elsewhere for alternatives. And that's what I present myself
Many
for.
of the people who will be interested in following you will be the young people. And one of the issues we've had to deal with is unemployment in this country. You have a plan?
Absolutely. I've been working with the youth ever since I got back into England, from England in Ghana. And even prior to that, in England, I used to handle a lot of youth programs in my church and the community. So for me, the youth and the things about youth is what has been my passion. To say that Ghana as a country don't even have a youth policy is worrying. It's very disturbing. So it has to start from a youth policy where from birth to the time a young person is at the age of 18, there's a path that you've created for them. Because understand that all of us would not be coming from rich homes.
But we have the National Youth Authority that handles some of these programs for the youth.
Having
so
a
yes,
youth
we have a policy.
authority is not providing a youth with a future. There has to be deliberate youth policy right from birth based on the income earnings of parents. Government has to get involved because for me, the youth is more valuable than our raw materials like gold, lithium, and oil that we're excited about. These are the people who will change the destiny of this country if the resources are harnessed properly. All over the world, the Facebooks, the Instagrams, the Airbnb, Google, these news systems that we're using have been put together by young people that had the environment and the opportunity to do so. So I have a strong desire and a strong plan for the young people. I would make sure there are incubation centers across the nation, grooming and developing leaders and entrepreneurs. I would make sure that we have apprenticeship work. Again, it's not even done, where accountants, lawyers, quantity surveyors, and all these professional groups have young people understudying them for a period where government pay the salaries of these people. And over a period they exit, they also have a group of people and then they look after. And again, our nurses are in huge demand in Europe as to why we're not taking advantage and producing more nurses and taking them abroad to earn money. I don't get it. In England, where I lived most of my career, my life, Ghanaian teachers are well sought after. Why are we not training more teachers? And I just recently found out that even our military is a well sought after in the UN peacekeeping. Why do we put quota in employing soldiers when our people haven't got jobs to do? So there has to be deliberate think through policies, making sure that we curb this situation of unemployment. Not you start or knock up start where you put young people into a room for 9 months or 6 months, they come out, you expect them to create jobs or get into employment. It won't work. There has to be systems and processes followed through that would create real jobs in the market. And that is what I intend to do.
I believe you followed the conversation about how our water bodies are being destroyed by illegal miners. Galam says one of the biggest problems we face as a country. Unfortunately, no government has been able to deal with that problem. You think you can deal with that problem if you're given the nod? Absolutely.
And again, it's laughable. If we can't stop Galamsey, that means we are saying if anybody attacks our borders with guns, they can take over the country.
It's not that easy.
It's very easy. There has to be commitment towards it. And you've seen snipers of stories where the so-called people who are meant to stop the Galamsey are the ones doing it. So clearly there's a problem. We need to be, all these drones with photographies and so forth, are you telling me that we can't find the people and we can't punish the people? Clearly the commitment is not there. It's just rhetoric, like many other things that we do in this country, where we say one thing and turn the other way around and do the other thing. If indeed Ghana wants to stop Galamsey, of course we can.
What would be your plan to stop Galamsey?
First of all, it has to be commitment from the government level. Serious commitment. And there has to be punitive measures across board, regardless of who is involved. It's one thing saying, we imprison you or we'll do this, and then in the end they go to court and they come out free. The system has to work. The rule of law needs to pick up the people. We need to make sure that there are punitive measures. We need to make sure that we have people who are committed to the cause. Without this, we can't achieve anything. And it's not just Galamsey, it cuts across the facet of our society. I mean, somebody goes and start building a bar in the middle of a top residential area. The person goes and reports to the MCE's office, that's the mayor's office. They bring in technical guys, they put a demolition order on the property. With impunity, the person keeps building, didn't care. Paying bribes here and there. Christmas comes, is a full-fledged story, partying 24/7. Even policemen goes there and party. This is our society. So we have to be serious. The rule of law has to work. People have to respect the laws of the country. And how do you do it? there has to be separation of powers and checks and balances.
But we do that already in this country. We have different arms of government, and each government checks on the other.
It's not. If you have the president appointing parliamentarians to be ministers, that means the legislature is compromised.
But
the executive is not separate from the...
The executive is appointing parliamentarians as ministers, but also, I mean, that's our constitution.
Exactly. So we need to, like I said, the systems don't require cosmetic work. And I have to be very honest, and Ghanaians have to understand, if we want to move into prosperity, the existing system has to be broken down and rebuilt. System that used to work has become dysfunctional. The world around us is developing, is moving on, and we can't keep staying using analog to solve digital problems. So the Constitution is the first point of call. We need to review it. A lot of reviews have to go in. So I'm talking about separation of powers, checks and balances, where the executive is different from the legislature. The Chief Justice is appointed by an autonomous body, not the president. Even the IGP, where we have independent National Planning Commission that plans and develop think tank for the nation and develop plans for years ahead. Look, if we don't have these things and everything has to be called a Jubilee House, we will still be sitting here 2024, 2028, having the same conversation. If Ghanaians indeed want to have a change in their lifestyles, if they want politics to affect their circumstances, which is the case, which has to be the case, then let's start thinking differently.
Corruption is on top of the agenda, and as we go into this election, it's one of the issues that will come up again and again. I've heard politicians say, when I get there, I'll do this. When I get there, but they all come and we see the same. I mean, why should I believe you if you tell me that you will fight corruption? Excellent,
Aisha. And again, it goes down to the separation of powers that I discussed to you. But if you look at now, if anybody tells you I'll fight corruption, ask them how they funded their campaign. You have presidential candidates paying as much as 100,000 Ghana cedis per delegate just to be shortlisted and win presidential seats. You have monies flowing around left, right, and center in our campaign. So if this hasn't been resolved at this stage, are you waiting for them to get to power and all of a sudden they become angels? The system is not working. What is the requirement from the Electoral Commission as to how parties are funded? So in glaring eyes, we're seeing corruption even at our electioneering level. And then we're expecting them to get into power and there'll be miracles. The first year or second year is how to find money to pay back the debts they've incurred, both in government and in opposition, because they even borrow when they're in opposition against the name of the country. And then when they get in the second year, third year, how do we now make money for ourselves and our friends and family, our immediate cabal? The next year, how do we find money to win the next elections? So genuinely and truly, the Ghanaian is not looked after in our politics. Apart from just T-shares and 200 cedis they might get during the campaign, just 3 months after, 3 months is even long. 2 days after the election, they've come back to square one. And the cycle repeats itself. And we're sitting there watching. Einstein says something very profound. It's only an insane person that keeps doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. If we haven't changed the system, don't expect different results because we won't have it.
Let me ask you this. What's your assessment of the current government, the NPP government, headed by President Akufo-Addo?
I'm truly disappointed. Their performance has been very abysmal. And it started from day one. And nobody should bring excuse of COVID and Ukraine war and all these excuses they give. Yes, they are genuine excuses. However, from day one, I'd realized from the appointment of qualified people to run the country, I realized there was a problem with that because this country has so much human capital, which we're not harnessing on. Talented Ghanaians across board, which I thought could be brought into government to help shape. But again, because they haven't gone and stood on political platforms to make noise or be on radio stations talking and fighting, their services was not needed. But if you do that, you shelve a big fraction of the people that could have helped you save the country. The economy was not protected. Follow the same status quo as the NDC did. They didn't build any homegrown policies. It was just back to borrowing spree. In fact, they borrowed much more than anybody else right from day one, going to the capital markets. I mean, the plan was not there. So right from the beginning, I saw the danger ahead of it. So the idea that Ukraine war and co and this came is totally out of order. the economy was not looked after. They didn't come with the intent of building a good economy from day one, because it takes a lot of sacrifices. And like I said, with the structure that we have, everybody else would want to see what are the easiest way out to make immediate money. Planning and things that would require a lot of sacrifice and commitment and selflessness that will lead this country to prosperity is not there at the moment, and they didn't show it from day one.
So you don't see anything good, even a single good thing about this government?
I wouldn't say I don't see. There have been pockets of things, but again, you look at the overall picture. We're not here trying to identify one single thing after the other. I think the year of return was quite good. It could have been better if it had been a decade of return, but that's what they did, and it's helped. But if you're talking about the economy, the rule of law, stability, continuous fight against corruption, these things are lacking, and these are the basic ingredients or gauges you use to judge whether a government has done well or not.
Dr. Samuel Ankrah, he is my guest tonight. Remember, he is a development economist. He's also an investment banker and a global business strategist. He grew up in Kumasi and attended Opare Secondary School before obtaining higher education in the UK. When I return from this break, he'll be telling us more about that. We'll be getting to know him better. Did he know he was going to venture into politics? At what point did he even develop the love for politics? What did he want to become? A banker? What did his parents want him to become? He'll be telling us all of that, plus his family values and lifestyle. Stay with me, I'm coming right back. Welcome back to PM Personality Profile. Dr. Samuel Ankrah, still my guest tonight. You were born in Kumasi?
Yes, I was born in Kumasi. My mom was a teacher at Opare School.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and my dad too was a mechanical engineer working for the railway.
Okay.
Who was working at the Kumasi area at the time.
So where to be precise, in the Kumasi township?
Yes, in Kumasi, yeah. I grew up in Kumasi. I went to primary...
Which area?
Santasi area.
Santasi.
Yeah, I went to primary school in a primary school called Martyrs of Uganda Preparatory.
Okay.
And from there I went to Opare School. Yeah, played hockey whilst I was in school. I was a hockey captain.
I see.
Yes, and yeah, school prefect at some point.
Okay.
And even the hockey, I played for the Ashanti regional team. I was called to the national team, but I never showed. That was when I was leaving to England at the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me about growing up in Santasi. How was it like?
Well, there were not many of us. We grew up, we're a very close network. We used to run across orchards, picking fruits in farms, and it was quite interesting. It was quite interesting. We used to use cassava sticks to play, what do you call it, cricket. Or we used to call it chaskele.
Okay.
You have this basket, we roll milk into smaller shapes, use cassava sticks, play chaskele at the time, and it was quite interesting. We play football, any opportunity playing football. So it was quite fun growing up in Kumasi, to be honest.
Were there also moments that you will describe as terrible?
From what I could remember, it was fun. We didn't really have any terrible experiences. Unlike elsewhere where you play, maybe the times we were on our own, there will not be grown-ups among us guiding us, so you can run on, and everywhere was sand. So you're getting sores all over everywhere, and your knees and arms and everywhere. But those are the difficult part, which we went through. But apart from that, I can't remember. There's not any of horrible moments that I could remember.
Is it because you were from a well-to-do home, that's why you didn't really face challenges?
Not necessarily, of course. I mean, we all go through challenges. I wouldn't even say from well-to-do home. Everybody faced challenges, but I can't remember the big challenges, because for me, and again, maybe I learned it from quite an early stage, I see challenge as opportunity. The ability to overcome challenge is how you make you as a person. So maybe they were there, but the strength, the character that we're building at the time made us so strong enough to overcome.
As a child growing up, aside playing chaskele with those milk containers and all of that, do you remember some other childhood expeditions that you were involved in that you still remember even at this age?
Well, I spoke to you about the hockey bits, which I played. Even way at primary school, I think I was an athlete. I was running for my house. We have in Matters of Uganda Preparatory School, and we have different houses. And I was in a house called K Mensa with the current CEO of, what's his name? Salamadadi for MTN. We're in the same house. We used to run for the same house in primary school. And then Opokwari School too. I was in a school, dormitory called the Royal House. I don't know why we call it the Royal House. It looks like every parent wanted their child to be in that particular dormitory. It was called St. Matthew. I was in St. Matthew House. So, and I did sports I played hockey for the house. I played football. I did running for them. So these are the memories I could clearly remember growing up in Kumasi and also in school in Kumasi. The sad part is when you play sports and your team loses, and sometimes when we go to the stadium for these athletics or football, there's always students fights. I remember we used to fight Prep College all the time. We're fighting at Ahmadiyya, Tia Ahmadiyya as well in football, because we're the two top teams at the time when growing up. And we have to walk all the way from the stadium back to school. So these are some of the experiences that I can remember clearly.
Let's talk about Opokwari Secondary School. I mean, how was the environment?
I think Opokwari School shaped me, to be honest. And I remember when I went to England and I was in most of my lecturers thought I had been to a private school in England, because there were certain traits that the private schools exhibit in uni and clear from what the public schools or the other independent schools does. So they thought I'd gone to private school in England, but I went to Opokwari School in Ghana, which was a public school. So it was, I think it shaped me. It was quite good. The students were serious and were very disciplined. We had a great headmaster, Mr. Tapabeko, who is still alive. God bless him wherever he is. Very strict man, made sure we're well disciplined. I mean, I'm sure you are aware, you've heard Opokwari School produced the most disciplined students in this country.
I know, right?
That's the kind of training I went through, and I think when we were having that kind of treatment, we thought we're being caged. We thought the boundaries were too much. We didn't like it, but growing up, like I said, even when I went back, I went to England, I'd realized what a great experience that I had in the school while I was there.
What kind of a student were you?
I think I was one of the typical goody boys. Maybe that's what I thought I was. Others would say differently. But I never got into trouble, into serious trouble. People get suspended in school, people get punished and so forth. But for whatever reason, I managed to navigate correctly. I didn't get myself involved with so much of these ill things. No wonder they made me a school prefect when I got to sixth form. But yeah, okay. I think I navigated quite well.
Okay, and so you never got into any trouble?
I can't remember. I think my experience, I remember sometime we went and played hockey. I was playing for the school team, so we go and train in the morning before we come and take a shower to go to lectures. But then I remember one day, myself and a good friend of mine, he's a doctor now, he's in America, I'm sure he's probably watching and laughing. After the training, we thought we were tired, so we could just take a rest. And then the housemaster got in very upset. And we were luckily for us, because of me, he said we could go, because I wasn't the kind of person that gets into trouble. So he thought it was the first time I've gotten myself to do sort of things, so he just allowed us. But it was quite a harsh one. He got very upset that we've missed lessons to be in a dormitory, resting when we're supposed to be in the classroom. And we got told off. But luckily, he ended there, weren't suspended or anything of that sort or punished. So I think these are some of the experiences we had.
You must be lucky to have gone through all the technical.
But bear in mind, my mother was a teacher there at the time.
Oh, so she was protecting you?
Not necessarily. You know that, again,
they were giving you preferential treatment.
No, you have to do well before you get reported, I heard, because she used to get very mad when she hears things like that. So I tried to live in the confines of the law at the time, not to get my mother upset. I had to leave her example because she was punishing people and lashing people. So if the mistress' son is doing the same, obviously it wouldn't have been good. So I tried as much as possible to behave myself just for the sake of the mother being there.
So at Opokwari, there were no challenges?
Well, I mean, the challenges in the school, which I'm sure a lot of us that went to boarding school at around the time, where you have water problems, the food was always horrible. We have to, yeah, those things were quite were there. I mean, I can't complain. We had horrible food, we had water problems, we have sewage problems. We're being bullied when we were in Form 1, Form 2. The bullying was very hard at the time. So these are things I could remember that we didn't really enjoy. These are challenges that we had to, sometimes we have to hide in the classroom after prep because you don't want to come to the dormitory because the seniors were wild, I mean at the time, proper wild. And if you're not careful, you'll be kneeling down from 9 o'clock after prep till about 2 a.m. in the night just because you've done something very trivial. Yeah. So these were the things that we used to avoid, not getting back to dormitory after prep, just hiding because you have wild seniors. Yeah, the basic things that happens in boarding schools in Ghana.
but you certainly didn't escape the bullying.
Of course I didn't. I mean, I was well bullied. It was part of it. We accepted it. We went through.
Did?
I mean, what else can you do? I mean, and again, the time that we were in school, we had proper men in school. It's not now that everybody's young and they're boys. We had men. I remember I could put my eyes into some seniors that were fathers. And they were in the school. And these are people that were punishing us and sending us across everywhere. You come, and the Opare school is quite big as well. Yeah. And you will be sent from your dormitory to a master's house about several kilometers away just to go and buy food for a senior who feels around 10 o'clock in the night he's hungry.
Goodness.
Oh yeah, so these are the things we experience. But I think all in all, it makes us disciplined. It makes us be responsive to seniors or elderly people, respectable to them and so forth. Like I said, it shaped the future for us.
And so from Opare, then you had the opportunity to go to the UK and you studied statistics. You had a degree in statistics and management from University of London, Leadership Advantage Program certificate from Cranfield School of Management, and then PhD in finance at the Universidad Empresarial de Costa Rica.
Yeah, I mean, all my other masters to PhD happened when I was working. I got lucky, I got headhunted quite early to work for AIG, and it's not African Investment Group which I ran, it's AIG, which is an American International Group at the time. Okay. So I got headhunted to work for AIG. I worked, started, got in, and I progressed quite quickly. Straight from a training manager to a trainer manager where I was training managers, then to a development manager before I left. And I joined up a hedge fund in London, which was run by an Israeli guy called Desmond Bloom. In fact, most of the training I got in finance and the desire to work in the industry came from meeting Desmond Bloom. And again, I'm sure you'll probably be watching this and be laughing as well. He groomed and mentored me in the city of London. We had this office at Hanover Square in London. And then through that period process, I was also studying, doing my master's, PhDs, and all the other certifications which haven't changed in the process. And then I moved from London to Switzerland to again join another private equity hedge fund company in Switzerland, where my focus was Africa. Okay. And it gave me the opportunity to travel to the length and breadth of Africa. I think I've been to several, if not all, African countries, meeting finance ministers, ministers of government, head of states, talking about looking at raising capital to fund various projects and advising otherwise, if any. So through that process had really got me close to governance styles, and I'm sure that is what is urging me or pushing me to making me have the belief that given the opportunity, with all the length of years that I've had, talking to various finance ministers, presidents, on policies, on projects, and so forth that shapes nations, I think it's a time for me to offer my service to a nation.
Let's talk about your experience in acquiring knowledge in the UK. Definitely the environment will be different.
I mean, the UK system is quite strict, and it's also very hard as well, to be honest. Anybody that tells you you are broad and easy, you have to be very good with timing and planning. When I go back here sometimes, not just in Ghana, but started coming back to Africa, even the emerging market, because I did a lot of work also in South America and other parts. you realize attitude towards work is a bit lackadaisical, not well disciplined. But in UK, if you are not producing, your bills are piling. People don't have time. Every time is money. You see people running on train stations, chasing buses, arriving promptly because you can't afford the luxury of to be late in meetings and so forth. So that kind of discipline we had quite early, I think also helped us in our career moving forward, because time is money, time is precious, and you can't leave. Here in Ghana, an uncle can dash you money where you can sort out your bills when you're in trouble. Over there, you're not. You are left to you yourself and God. Yep. And the bills are coming every month. So whatever you need to do to make sure that at least you have a job, at least the job pays you well and cover the bills, you have to. So those are the kind of discipline that we got. And again, they do things into perfection. Yeah. Things are done on a high level. There's no room for mediocrity, or there's no room for half-half things. If you're not doing the job, you get fired. If you're not producing the right results, you'll be removed. So these are all, so every time you're on your toes, every time you are developing yourself, you're improving yourself, you are learning, you are picking up information outside what you do, just to make sure that you do the right things to stay in a job. And I think these are all some of the good things that help shape us whilst in England.
As a doctor of finance and an investor and a research fellow actually at the Institute of Chartered Economists Ghana, let me pick your thoughts on how we can come out of the woods. I mean, as we wait for you to become president when elections is due, definitely the economy must run. What solutions do you prefer to resolve some of the issues we're facing with?
Brilliant question. Aisha, one basic policy, principle, philosophy: you don't spend what you don't have. If you don't cut costs, you can't save. If you are earning 1,000 cedis a month, for argument's sake, and you are spending 2,000 cedis a month, how long will you sustain that? So the wisdom says, if I want a better future, then I have to trade my today for tomorrow. So if I'm earning 1,000 cedis, let me save 500 and cut all costs, so that at least I'm living within the 500 cedis means and making sure another 500 goes into an investment or a saving. This is the philosophy. This is the approach that can help recover everything and anything. We have overblown government payroll. Ghana, as a country of 31 million, has over 1 million people in the government payroll. That is not sustainable. In England, where there are 65 million people over, they only have about 300,000 on government payroll. Mm-hmm. So we need to cut the cost, the waste. We need to cut the size of government immediately. Yeah. That is the first point of call. Then we have to start putting pragmatic policies in place that will restrict our expenditure. All these Land Cruisers in the train, all these private jet hiring, all these extravagant things needs to be cut, per diems, sitting allowances and so forth. Look, working for a nation is not making money. It's a service to a nation. This is the understanding that these people we appoint should understand, that they are not coming to rule us, but they are coming to serve us. And if you're a servant, then live the means of a servant. If we have enough and it's overflowing like the Arab nations, you can live like the Arab man. But now we don't, the Arab king. But now you don't have that. You are in debt. You're piling debts. You are mortgaging the future of young people. It's serious matters here. So look, cut costs, cut waste, and start living in austerity measures. Wish
you all the best in the upcoming elections.
Thank you very much.
We'll see how that goes. But let's also talk about your recognitions for your immense contribution to various sectors of, especially the Special Achievements Awards from the prestigious, I think,
Guba Award. Yeah.
Guba Awards. Tell me about it.
Well, that was Africa focused. As you know, Guba is an African focused organization. And at that time I lived in England, and I'd helped several African countries to raise capital one of the top at the time in the industry, investment bank, raising capital for most African leaders in oil, hydrocarbons exploration, and assets mineral exploitation. So based on that, I think I was chosen for my contribution to the Africa. And as you know, I'm a true Pan-African, and I'm happy to do more to contribute towards the social development of the continent, not just Ghana.
Congratulations, and I'm sure your wife, the kids, and the family are all proud of your achievements.
Well, I mean, like any father, you are the role model to your kids. They look at you, and I think from conversations we have, their interactions and their comments, clearly they're quite impressed, or they're quite happy about what their father has achieved so far.
What kind of a father are you?
Well, I mean, I have to be very careful here because as you see from my CV, I've been running around the world working. So I've been away most of the times, but I tried as much as possible to spend very quality time, the times I get with my kids. Whenever I'm in a golf course, I have them along with me, places I go, restaurants. I mean, I tend to have a close unit when I'm with them because for me, I valued the time I spent with my children because I didn't have the opportunity of living at home 24/7. I'm always on the field. So I spend very, very quality time with my family.
How many boys, how many girls?
I have one boy and I have 2 girls.
Okay, you need to buy a gun. Have you bought one already?
Well, I think I will need to buy a gun as you advised.
But you enjoy football, you enjoy boxing, and you play golf?
I play rugby, I play football, I play hockey, golf.
You box too?
Well, I do boxing for exercising, but not as a professional or an amateur.
For exercising, like as in like this.
Yeah, just punching the weight bag to see if I still got it. But I think I still have it.
I must be careful. Anybody coming to look for your trouble must be very careful.
Ghana is a very strong, and
especially
healthy.
As you love your kinky and your fish.
Yes, I mean, up to now is my favorite. I don't think any food can surpass
and some
that.
hot pepper.
Bedded hot pepper with good fish. Why not? Kinky is always on the top.
That means you need to be working out a lot because there's a lot of energy and carbs there you need to burn.
Yeah, I do work out a lot. I used to work out a lot, but not anymore. But these days, I try as much as possible to walk at least 10 kilometers within 3 days in a week, every other week. So that's keeping me going. But yeah, I used to train a lot. Like I said, I'm a sports person. I've played hockey, I've played rugby at a higher level. So yeah, those athleticism keeps me doing sports and burning calories and exercising the least opportunity I get.
And I know you love music as well.
Yes, I love music. I love my Afrobeat, and you can say I'm very Ghanaian, but I like Shatawale, I like Sarkodie a lot. I like King Promise. I'm beginning to get into the Nigerian artists a bit, but these are my favorites. Yeah.
Okay, I mean, which is your favorite among all of them?
I think I'll choose Sarkodie as my top guy. I listen to him all the
Which
time.
of his songs do you really love?
Oh, you know, he had this tune, I remember in England, Boga Boga. I've forgotten. Oh. Boga Boga. That tune was very powerful. That tune was very powerful. Years ago, I remember in London, I heard it. I was like, this guy must be smart. He must be intelligent because the lyrics, everything was on point.
Okay, Boga Boga. That's the one you still love till date?
Oh, no. I mean, he's gotten new ones. I can't remember that. I mean, I'm not very good with words or keeping words of songs, but his rhythms and the ones he's been producing lately, Countryside with what's his name, Black Sheriff, another good guy I like. But yeah, it's just a very good one.
Thank you so much, Dr. Samuel Ankrah, for opening up to us. We want to thank you for being who you are. Keep being yourself, and we wish you all the best in your political ambition to becoming the president of Ghana one day. We will be monitoring and supporting you from behind, and hopefully you will turn around our economy just like you've told me.
Thank you very much. I was hoping that by the time we finish this conversation, you say, "Oh, I'm joining your campaign trail."
Of
I hope
course.
maybe that will come later.
From now to December is a long time. So yes, I'm still monitoring.
Brilliant.
Who knows? I may be one of your followers.
I'm looking forward to see you in our campaign trail. We're going to trek across the nation as many times as we can. We want to make sure the message gets to Ghanaians. It's a time. The time is now. We need to change. We can't afford the status quo anymore.
For God and country,
For
right?
God and country.
Viewers, thank you so much for watching. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Same time next week, I'll be bringing you another interesting edition of PM Personality Profile. Do enjoy the rest of our program.